The road at night feels different. Quieter, empty, but never alone. Some drivers see things they can't explain. Shadows on the shoulder, laughter in the fog, things that follow. These are two true stories from the highway. Believe them or don't, but never stop driving. Let's begin. A few years back, I was driving for Costco, doing holiday runs to restock toys. One night, they called me last minute for a rural Kentucky run. The store needed more of those giant Spider-Man dolls. I loaded up and hit the 265 around midnight. By 3 a.m., I started feeling off, just a weird, unsettled vibe. I figured I was just tired, so I popped a couple no-dos and kept going. 15 minutes later, the fog rolled in. Thick, thicker than I'd ever seen before or since. Visibility dropped so fast I had to pull off to the shoulder. No cars, no sounds, just this silent, white wall outside. I had time to kill, so I decided to wait it out. 5 minutes go by and suddenly, my truck dies. Engine, lights, CB, all dead. I grab my phone, no signal. Then I hear it, a child crying. It starts soft, then slowly shifts into what sounds like a woman sobbing. Or maybe it was always something in between. Either way, it was getting closer. Now, I'm not a small guy. 6 feet, 3 inches, 250. But I wasn't stepping outside. I cracked the window just enough to call out, "Anyone need help?" The crying stopped. Silence. Then laughter. Low. Ugly. Like it knew I was scared. Like it enjoyed it. I rolled the window up fast. The laugh got louder, and the more I panicked, the louder it got. Until it was echoing inside my head. Then, just like that, it stopped. Total silence. A second later, my truck roared back to life. The fog. Gone. Like it was never there. I floored it to the nearest truck stop, ran into the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and just stared at myself in the mirror. Did that really just happen? Number 2. My most common run is Vancouver to San Francisco. Easy trip, no real challenge. I prefer driving into the night, less traffic, but driving through the middle of nowhere during witching hour. You see things. UFOs, Bigfoot, whatever. But none of that scares me like the people you sometimes see walking the shoulder, miles from anywhere. I saw my first one years ago, headed down the 5. A lady in a blue summer dress, just strolling along the highway under a full moon. Not a care in the world. We were deep in nowhere, no towns for miles. I was probably the first car she'd seen since sundown, and she didn't even look up. Just smiled and kept walking. Figured she was some high hippie from a nearby camp, but she was only the first. You don't see them every trip, but sometimes there'll be 2 or 3. They only show up at night. Once you've spotted one, you start noticing them more. Always on the shoulder, like they're stuck on rails. They come in all shapes, men, women, young, old, creepy, sure, but I got used to just cruising past them without a second thought, until a few months ago. That night, I saw an old woman in a hospital gown, pale, sunken eyes, wispy white hair, smiling like her grandkids had just come to visit. She shuffled along in what I imagined were soft hospital slippers. Something about her reminded me of my grandma, God rest her soul. So I slowed down and stopped, grabbed the flashlight from my glove box and stepped out. I'd pulled a bit ahead of her, so I heard her before I saw her. Scrape, scrape, scrape. I checked my phone. Nearest town, over 50 miles. No way she got there on foot. I called out, "Mom." No answer, just the steady scraping. I raised the flashlight and waited for her to step into view. She looked worse up close, sickly, thin, still smiling. "You okay? You're out in the middle of nowhere." No answer, just that smile. She kept shuffling toward me, my legs locked. Something in me screamed to get back in the truck, but I couldn't move. When she was about 10 feet away, she raised her hands slowly, like she wanted to cut my face. Her fingers twitched, her mouth opened, but no sound came out, just that wide, pale grin. I fell sideways in panic. That's when she grabbed my ankles. I was being dragged fast down the shoulder. Her grip was like steel. I kicked her jaw hard. It felt like hitting concrete, but she let go. I scrambled backwards to the center line. She just kept walking. Hands dropped back to her sides, mouth closed to a thin-lipped smile, but her eyes never left mine. She shuffled out of the beam of my flashlight without a word. I lay there in shock for maybe 30 minutes before I worked up the nerve to get back in the rig. I drove. Fast. Didn't take long to catch up to her again. She was still walking, still smiling. Her eyes never moved from mine even as I sped past. Other truckers say I'm the first dumb enough to try talking to a shoulder walker. If I'm lucky, I'll be the last. I've seen plenty more since. I even saw a kid once, but I'll never stop again. And since that night, they all look at me when I drive by. They never used to. Maybe when she saw me, they all did.